Rob, first of all, welcome to Sussex. Just got some old wisdoms out last night, 1984 and 85, when you played first-class cricket for Cambridge University. 2 games against Sussex, got 50 actually in one of those. Do you remember much about that?
I mean, it's nearly more than 30 years ago, so it is a long time ago. But I do recall the Fenners playing when Garth LaRue was playing. I'm not sure whether that was the innings where I got 50 or not, but I upset Garth early on. He wasn't bowling very quick. When the counties used to come to Fenners, they'd have a bit, take it easy, and he was just lolloping in. He dropped one short, and I was brave enough to pull him to the boundary, which didn't go down very well. And then the next ball, he dropped it in exactly the same place, so I thought I'll go again, and I got my bat to about here, and he hit me straight on the head. I was fortunately wearing a helmet, but he was, I don't know if, I mean, Garth LaRue was a big, he was about 6'8". He probably should have been a South African rugby player rather than a cricketer. But yeah, no, I mean, I had some great memories playing county cricket, playing against the counties when I was at Cambridge. It was amazing. Could
you have ever played cricket? Was that ever a path open to you, cricket as opposed to rugby, or was it always going to be rugby, do you think?
Who knows, but I think in the end, I mean, most people will testify that my cricket was never good enough. I got a few runs at Cambridge, and I played a little bit for Yorkshire Seconds in the summer of '85, and I was playing with some decent Yorkshire guys. The top order was in the second 11 then in '85 was Ashley Metcalf, David Byas, Richard Blakey. Were all playing in the second 11, and obviously went on to have fantastic first-class careers. And I was playing with those guys, but I knew that I wasn't at that level. Rugby then obviously went down a different road, and sort of cricket took a back seat. But I've kept playing and always kept.
I was going to say, do you still play now? Or?
I still try. Yeah, I still can't get it off the square, which is probably what everybody would say when I was playing properly. But no, I still play a bit. I'm a member of the MCC. I play for the Lord's Taverners quite a bit.
Do you still have that competitive instinct which you would have had when you were playing rugby? When you play cricket now, is it still the?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. That never loses you. Yeah. No, I had a few pretty competitive games this summer, playing in sort of chairman's 11s for my mates who are chairman of village cricket teams, and he gets his old mates out against the young first teamers, and the old boys come back who haven't played for 5 years, and still, everybody gets competitive on a cricket field.
There's a very good staff team here at home, so no doubt you'll be auditioning for
I
next
know.
summer.
Well, I'll hopefully be able to get selected.
The job here, well, you talk about your career now, 30 years on. You're in cricket administration. What was the attraction of the job here at home?
Loads of things. I mean, in cricket generally, for the first, I've always thought that one day I might have a look at cricket. From an administration point of view, I spent the last 10 years in administration, really, not coaching. I was doing that sort of 20 years ago. I love cricket. I love the values of cricket. I love the challenge of sports administration. And this just is a fantastic cricket club. It's got an unbelievable history. It's an opportunity that's come up at the right time for me, and I'm genuinely thrilled and honoured and excited to be involved in the game and at the club here. It's had a lot of change in the last 5, 6, maybe even 10 years. Cricket generally is going through a lot of change. The club has put itself in a fantastic position in terms of the structure, where they're at financially. It's a new young team, that's obvious. A young coaching team, not a young coaching team, a new professional cricket setup, and it just feels to me like it's got all the ingredients, to be a fantastic few years ahead for the club.
And you obviously played rugby at the very highest level. Does that give you some sympathy, I think, perhaps with professional cricketers, guys, with sportsmen, albeit in a different environment?
I'd like to think so. I mean, I'm clearly not going to be doing any coaching, and you wouldn't want to be. No, absolutely. I might have a go at the far end of the bat in my hands, but look, I think the pressures that coaches and young players, captains, academy systems. I've spent the last 15-20 years involved in those, and they are absolutely critical to the future of any sports organisation. And Sussex clearly have an outstanding academy. They always have had. There's a lot of very talented young players coming through the system, and you just have to appreciate where a team is at a point in time, and therefore the pressures that puts on, well, Keith and Mark and Luke as captain. Just it's a new team being built. And I think for me, having done what I did at Newcastle, having seen ups and downs with England, and had some massive ups and some massive downs, because that's sport. But the teams take time to build, and you've got to understand that, and young players need time to develop, and developing young players is a real skill. And I, having just seen it a little bit from the outside, for me it feels like there's an outstanding group of young players here. And watching them grow over the next few years, I think, is going to be really thrilling.
Cricket and rugby, I think, in terms of the national sporting consciousness, are always going to be sort of overshadowed by football. But are there things you think that cricket can learn from rugby, and perhaps even the other way around as well?
Yeah, I think sport is such an intriguing animal at the moment in terms of managing the sport, which is fundamentally why we all get involved in the first place. It's the cricket or the rugby or the football, but then everything goes around it, and it's the business, and it's the politics, and it's the fans, and it's how important it is in a community, which clearly Sussex Cricket in Sussex is massive. It's managing all of those pieces to keep almost the distractions away from the coaches and the players, and let them get on doing what they want to do, which is play a cricket match and try and win, because that's what professional sportsmen do. But I think it's so fascinating now, and rugby's been through massive change. Cricket's been professional for a lot longer, but all sports have got challenges, and a challenge is also an opportunity, and which one is it? And every sport has those issues, and I think cricket is a wonderful sport. It's got incredible values, but it's also in a changing world, and that moving with the times and changing, but not changing too much, is part of the attracts this role to me. Is just is there any? I've spent the last 10 years dealing with governing body and clubs and relationships and conflict quite a lot, and I'm not saying cricket's got that, but it's clearly got some issues to manage over the next few years.
One of those, of course, the big topic at the moment, I guess, is T20 and franchise cricket. What are your views on that?
Well, look, I don't know enough of the detail. Clearly, I've got some background knowledge of what people are trying to do and what Sussex's position is on that, and clearly I will find out more about it. It's no different to things I've been involved in with rugby, where you're dealing with season structures, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with relationships between the governing body and the county professional clubs. You're dealing with a sport that needs to be sustainable and also needs to be relevant for the future, as well as taking account of the history. So they're complex issues, these, and the only thing that I will say and then hopefully try and bring to the table is certainly my experiences in rugby is people, you just have to work together. You have to try and find a solution which best fits your environment. And it's a bit of a cliche, but certainly in rugby we looked at trying to find, and I think we did a reasonable job with privately owned professional clubs and the governing body. You have to look for what I termed an English solution to an English problem. Don't try and copy New Zealand or copy somebody else, because it's different marketplaces. and try and get the best solution that fits your environment.
Yeah.
And ultimately, people will be searching for the best solution that fits English cricket.
Sussex very successful a decade ago, were winning county championships and one-day trophies. It's not been so successful the last few years. Short term and long term, what are your hopes to try and rectify that, to bring some silverware back into Sussex?
Well, I think again it goes back to recognising where you are at a point in time, and clearly it's a very, very successful decade, a very experienced team, very experienced coach, long-standing coach.
A lot of players coming together, good players coming together at the same time.
And that's what great teams are. And actually, I've seen good teams, I've seen not so good teams. The one thing that is absolutely common to all good teams is that they are a team, and that's the reason why it's a team sport. And building a team is the critical piece in all of this. Whether it was when I was at Newcastle or with England, there is I think a very good England rugby team emerging. It's taken some time to emerge, and when a team sort of comes to the end of its time, as perhaps the Sussex team did, both in the coaching and the playing side, you have to sort of start again, and you have to recognise where you are. And I think for the new structure, which is obviously Keith and Mark, and you've got a new director of cricket, a new coach, a new captain, with a young team. So the one thing you need there is patience, and you need to recognise that teams need time to grow. And from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, is that with time, and that's not to say that you don't want to win the next game, because that's not an excuse, but you do have to understand that there looks to me like, and everybody I've spoken to is really excited about the group of players that are here, and with a few signings, which one or two have already been made, then there's no reason why success can't come in both the short term and the medium to long term.
You did a decade at the RFU. Can you see yourself in this job in 10 years' time?
Look, I can never answer that question. It's a who knows?
It's clear you can't wait to get started.
I can't wait to get started. I'm absolutely itching. Look at this. Actually, the sun's just come out. It feels like summer already.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I can't wait to get started. I think the club is in a really great place, and people over the last few years investing in the ground, the work that Zach has done. Everybody is, I suspect it's been quite tough over the last few years, because when these things are going on, it is. But people have held it together, and for me there is nothing better than seeing young sports people develop and fulfil their potential. I've seen it a lot of times in rugby, and it's the most from a sporting perspective. If you are involved in sport, I was lucky enough to go through my own career, and I was supported by people. I've then had some part to play in helping other people do what they've done, and seeing this group of players develop and start to win things, which is what will happen, I think it's going to be really exciting over the next few years.